And we're back with this first game of the best of two series of League of Legends Winter by ICE, with UCD Leviathans playing against Ulster Unicorns. I'm OBK9. With me here is Nualaic. Nualaic, we're in game. What do you think?
I'm pretty excited. We were a little bit worried in Champ Select. It looked like the side of UCD were putting their best player onto Malphite. We were nervous about it. We didn't necessarily express those concerns directly in Champ Select, but no, it's fine. Put Bacon on Vegan. He's playing the Caitlyn. They put Reforming player onto the Malphite instead. So they're going to be looking to carry out of that bot lane. I think there's going to be a lot of resources put into this Caitlyn early on, I would assume. Because really there's only two carries on this UCD side. There's the Zoe, there's the Caitlyn. If they go down, it's going to be an uphill fight for UCD in any of these fights. And you contrast that over on the other side. I mean, the Sylas and the Kayn, I mean, it's a little bit similar, but both the Misfortune and the Cassiopeia can carry fights goes on and Ornn. We all know how hard Ornn can carry fights if you give him a little bit of space too. So I think overall there's a little bit of a better team fighting team. We're going to have to see leads generated by UCD against this Ulster University side early on if they want to have a chance that this game goes long.
Yeah, I kind of agree with you here. I do think, though, Ulster University, they only have one tank to give them frontline, whereas UCD do have the Nautilus and the Malphite to peel for this Caitlyn. But overall, I do like the picks that Ulster have, and it does give them a very snowball-esque comp, where if you get the Sylas ahead or you get the Cassio ahead, they can really do some serious damage to these team members later on in the game.
They definitely can. I think the one thing you have to worry about if you're Ulster is, whereas for UCD we are kind of saying, like, look, it is a little bit of an eggs in one basket kind of case. You need to snowball someone so someone can kind of start to carry these fights hard, because otherwise it's going to be difficult. If you're Ulster University and you just get one carry ahead, there's a Malphite on the other side. And Malphite loves nothing more than one carry being fed, so he can press his ult on that one carry and take them completely out of the fight with a bit of follow-up from the Nautilus. So something to be a little bit wary of if your Ulster is, if one of your players is starting to get ahead, is starting to be the carry, there are easy ways for UCD to shut them down.
Yeah, I don't know really. I think UCD, to be honest, look like they have overall a better team front to back team fight, but Ulster seem to just, I don't know, I like their picks personally because with the Cassiopeia they just have a much nicer way of shutting down what UCD are trying to accomplish here anyway. Especially getting onto the Caitlyn.
Yeah, I completely agree with you. I think, I think it's fair. Both these teams do have options to shut down these things. And I think a lot will become more clear as to how these teams do actually want to play the game as we see what these junglers do. Kind of expecting both of them to just hard farm for a little while. I don't think Sylas or Kayn are necessarily looking to impact any of these lanes super early on. And that is kind of what we're seeing at the moment. Both junglers looking like they're just going to go for full clears on this first clear. But after this, once these junglers have finished their first clear, it will be Disco Dakin on the bot side, potentially looking towards this bot lane. But the Kayn is up on the top side, and honestly, I don't think there's much for Don't Be Silly again to do up here. So we may just see him go for this Scuttle Crab, and then go for a reset, potentially look towards this bot side, and maybe try and get Bacon on Vegan rolling after he resets and comes down to this bot side.
Yeah, and I think both junglers probably don't want to be farming right now. They're both done farming ganking, I mean, because if Sylas for...
I was worried there for a second. You had me worried there, OBK. I'm not going to lie. I was like, I just set up why they should be farming instead of ganking. Don't hit me with the opposite.
Yeah, I don't know. I do think they should probably just be waiting until 60 anyway. Like, the Hijack is such a high variance ulti. Taking something like the Zoe ulti versus something like Caitlyn's ult is pretty huge anyway. Especially for I don't know. They have a lot of dash, but without that ultimate, I don't know if you can do much. But Don't Be Silly again is looking for something topside here onto Ginger Joe.
Yeah, he got a little bit of damage down there, and it wasn't the worst thing in the world. He did okay in actually managing to keep him a little bit down. But there's not much the Kayn is doing to Ornn there. There's not a lot of setup in a Malphite lane, and there's nothing really on the top side for this Kayn to take away. He will manage to grab some Krugs out of this as well, but I mean, on the other hand, Disco Dakin is down on the bot side. He's managed to take away Raptors. He might be able to go down and take away our Krugs as well, and potentially look for a gank onto this bot side with easier setup from the Morgana. And I'm not sure. I think that was a strange gank from Don't Be Silly again, but if he can make something work on the return, it's going to be all worth it.
Yeah, at least he didn't commit a summoner to that anyway, because if he blew the flash for that, thinking he might get it, I'm not too sure if he could actually gotten that kill back in return. But
that'll be first.
First blood going over here, I believe. Oh, flash forward after Don't Be Silly again. And he is going to pick himself up the first blood onto Ginger Joe. So that's already going to put UCD at an advantage. especially for
That's a
something
big
on like
advantage
Kane.
for UCD. We were saying someone needs to get ahead, and if it was this Kane, this Kane can potentially threaten this backline pretty hard as the game goes on. The Cassiopeia and Misfortune both being immobile. And of course, Ornblow and the Flash and Teleport to get back to that lane won't be punished for it. And Rwanda's in this mid lane will just go down to no skill, pure luck in the straight 1v1. Disco Dakin, though, here for the counter attack, will just take him out, and Disco Dakin counters beautifully. It's a 1-for-1 trade in this mid lane with the assist going over to Rwanda. This means that there is a little bit of extra gold there for Ulster University in this one. And I mean, I think that's a trade that you are happy to take any day of the week if you're Ulster, getting a little bit back onto gold back onto the Silas, who was starting to fall behind after that first blood went over to Don't Be Silly again.
Yeah, and at the same time, it is another kill ahead anyway for the comp of UCD. Ulster are pretty happy to have that kill probably onto Dakin, because if it was on something like, if he was on a more tanky pick like Sejuani or something, I don't think he would have personally have been able to put this to much more work, but he is fighting Don't Be Silly again, and they both seem to be on 1 kills, although the extra longsword might come in handy here for one.
Well, mid laners here, it's Rwanda's who has to rotate first, though. This is the power of the Cassiopeia. It does have great pushing power, no pure skill. Pure luck might be a little bit too far forward here. This fight is messy and long, but it's no skill, pure luck who's completely on the wrong side of this fight. And if there's one person going to be stuck in the middle of each team, you will take your Ornn being stuck in their team over your Zoe being stuck in the enemy team at all points in time. And honestly, that was overall just Ulster University rotating to the fight faster and playing it cleaner once they got there.
Yeah, and we did see also Put Bacon and Vegan going down in the bottom lane while that was going on.
That's scary. I mean, that's very scary if you are UCD, because I mean that is your player who you rotated onto this carry position. Your best player going down onto the Caitlyn, and if you're still losing those fights, just 1v1v. I mean, obviously 1v2, the Nautilus wasn't there, was on a reset, but it's not a good look if you are losing your best player in silly ways in the bot lane.
Yeah, and right now, anyway, Ulster looking like a much stronger team, whereas we do see some trades coming out here from the bot lane. Both supports getting really low, but overall, no kills going over to either team.
It's fine. I was hired, maybe getting a little bit greedy to stick around, try and push that wave in. They obviously don't want a freeze being set up against them in this bot lane. Could allow the Caitlyn to actually farm up, because, I mean, let's not forget, Put Bacon on Vegan is still up in CS over Alex P in this bot lane. So not doing a terrible job of keeping the farm up. And I'm not sure. That looks like they have actually managed to set up a freeze in the bot lane. It won't be. It has hit the tower. So the Morgana sticking around, it looked dodgy, but did actually manage to get that wave to the tower. Did break the freeze, and that can be super important in these bot lane situations when both AD carries are roughly equal on farm.
And we do see around as well on the flash and the ultimate to try and get out of that gank. Didn't necessarily root anyone, but he did manage to escape anyway, which is pretty good for Ulster, so they didn't get the 150 goal shut down off it. Not Ulster, ACD.
No, that's worth it. I mean, look, you've managed to get the flash out of the Cassiopeia, but unless you can punish that again in the next little while, that's not going to mean a huge amount. There is a chance. I mean, Kane obviously able to get some creative gank paths off with his ability to just run through walls whenever he feels like it, but even still, with Disco Dakin having plenty of camps up around the mid lane, with the Dragon available, with Rift Scuttlers coming back up relatively soon, I expect the Silas to be near enough to mid lane to help counteract any attempts to punish that Cassiopeia for flash being down.
Yeah, and we do see a bit of skirmishing going in here in the bottom top lane. Nothing really happening as both laners are just farming up here. The Cole sitting on Alex P as a gank is coming in here from Disco Dakin, forcing the hijacked Nautilus ulti down, and he will pick up a kill onto Nautilus.
I mean, that was essentially just a 1v1 onto the support, right? It's filthy. Silas, when he gets a good ultimate to steal, is just absolutely disgusting to watch. And in that situation, managing to steal the Nautilus ult, and kind of does more with the Nautilus ult than Nautilus does, because he has enough chain CC to go with it and gets extra damage out of the combo. And yeah, that's just Beta Citizen going down. Disco Dakin doing a much better job than Don't Be Silly again at accelerating the lead that he did manage to get out of that one kill. And is now taking away Dragon for his team. It will be an early Mountain Drake. It's not necessarily the best early Drake, but it will help Ornn more and more as this game goes on. And will help counteract some of what you were talking about earlier, which there is only really the one big tank on this Ulster University squad. The Mountain Drake will help them get a little bit tankier across the board. It means that they can go for a bit longer these extended fights.
Yeah, and we do see something coming out here. They are trying to go on to Ginger Joe, who is forced to blow the flash. Kane flashing forward himself, though. And I think they're just going to end up picking this kill up for UCD. Although with aggro swap over there does mean that both players end up going down to us.
Look, it's an execute, okay? It's just a 1-for-1. It's fine. It's totally fine, okay? Forget about it and move on. It does mean that Don't Be Silly Again will be off the map for a little while longer, but there's no big objectives up. The other big thing that's happened here is that actually what they really would have liked is for UCD to be able to drop that Rift Herald there in the top lane.
Yeah.
Unfortunately for them, the fact that they both died means that the Rift Herald can't be dropped and they lose out on all the extra plate gold that they potentially would have been able to get. And so that is the big loss. Down here in the bot lane, we can see, because they couldn't get that free setup, both AD carries still pretty equal in gold. But they are going to keep doing it hard. Fishing for the bindings. Can't quite find them in this bot lane. He's doing a decent job. Has black shielded a few hooks when we've seen him. As we cut over to the mid lane, where Rwandas is up about 10 CS on this Zoe, but that's more a function of the fact that Zoe has died twice and Rwandas has only died the once. So far, lane's relatively even. It really has just been UU looking a little bit better in these skirmishes around the map, and that's what's generated in this 2k gold lead that we have seen.
I think it's just going to some of the more experienced players here, as we do see Bacon and Vegan forcing the heal. The Ignite coming down here from Hired. He is going pretty ham as the Morgana ulti coming down here instead. Trying to get a kill back from Beta Citizen, but Beta Citizen doesn't manage to get it. The Ignite burning out here, and that's going to be 2 kills over to Ulster University.
That's the danger of these immobile carries, the Caitlyn and the Zoe, when you're playing up against the Morgana. Because, I mean, it's so easy to land those bindings, and if you do land one, there is so much follow-up damage on the Ulster University side that they are going to be able to punish it basically from anywhere on the map. And this time around, it was just Alex P unloading a full Misfortune combo, including a full bullet time into the Caitlyn, basically. And I don't think there's many champions in the game who are surviving that at level 8.
And we do see a guy coming in here topside from the Kayn onto Ginger Joe. And we do see the Call of the Forge God being called out here for Ginger Joe is going to miss onto a forming player. And that might just be it, as we do see a Redemption coming down here. And they do end up picking the kill onto Ginger Joe. And that's going to be a kill for UCD. But No Skill Pure Luck is going to find Disco Dakin. And Disco Dakin's taken super low here. The Ignite does come out, does have the actual flash available to the Zoe. And I don't think they're going to pick anything else off this.
No Skill Pure Luck on a great roam there had picked up the Redemption, and I mean, if you want to talk pure skill, No Skill Pure Luck, that is praise RNGesus on that one, because without that Redemption, that Ornn was coming very close to actually turning around the 1v2 for a second time, this time without the aid of a tower. And I mean, it's just weird decision making from UCD. I don't think that's the lane they really need to be focusing on getting ahead when all of your damage threats are in other lanes. But Don't Be Silly Again has spent a lot of time up there in the top lane. It's Disco Dakin. I mean, look, they just found a Nautilus out in the bot side of the map beside a red buff. Not much going to happen to get out of that one.
Disco Dakin seemed to heal from, I think, a quarter HP to like 3/4 there. That was some insane sustain he got off that.
I didn't want to talk about Silas Sealand. It upsets me. We did see No Skill Pure Luck, speaking of the Silas Sealand, got off a great Ignite on the top side in that little skirmish. It was right before Silas would have healed a huge amount from the Kingslayer up on that top side skirmish, and it actually meant that the chase wasn't there. So No Skill Pure Luck not only had a great roam, but also managed to prevent the follow-up pretty effectively, and quietly having a pretty solid game here in the mid lane. The 1-2-1 scoreline not really doing them justice just at the moment on how well they're actually playing this matchup out.
Yeah, we did see the hook into the wall to let Disco Dakin get out alive there. I'm not sure he should have been able to get out there unpunished, although he is going to pick up the camps, and he is going to get fired with a hook here. Depth charge is going to get popped down as it is going to get healed. Misfortune bullet time going to come out. They're going to pick up a kill onto the Caitlyn, as Beta Citizen might just go down here. Doesn't have any damage to get anything back in response, and I think this might just be another kill for Ulster, but the Q comes through, but MF gets the kill in the end, and the flash forward still goes on here as Dakin, trying to find No Skill Pure Luck, may have walked too far forward as he does, and that's going to be another kill for Ulster University.
That was No Skill Pure Luck, using their own actual flashes, Zoe, rather than just a flash they picked up to try and get a couple of kills. And I mean, it looked so juicy. There was 2 low health members walking back away from the turret, but couldn't quite land the Q. And it's Ulster University showing that, I mean, they kind of just have the edge in terms of pure player mechanics. That was a perfectly executed dive on the bottom side of the map versus the failed dive we saw a little bit earlier from UCD on the top side of the map. And where that failed dive kind of set UCD back, meant that they couldn't drop a Rift Herald, couldn't accelerate away from this top lane, forced them to continue to invest resources in the form of more and more ganks up here to try and keep performing player in this lane. Ulster University are just accelerating away across the entire rest of the map, and now with a 4.5, nearly 5k gold lead, another dragon spawning. Don't Be Silly Again is on the top side instead of a Drake.
Yeah, and we do see also a failed gank in response, so if they can't pick up the kill, this is just going to be a free dragon over for Ulster University with just Beta Citizen to try and stop it.
He's not going to.
Yeah.
I mean, spoiler warning. Like, I had to stop and think about that for a second. But no. That Nautilus never gets to steal that one over the wall. As Ginger Joe may just turn this around in the 1v2. It's so much time invested by the Kayn with so much else happening around the rest of the map. And this is one of those games where if you're the Ornn, you're sitting there. I mean, sure, your scoreline is 1-3-1. That doesn't feel great, but you know, you can just turn your music up, sit there, you be like, whatever, team, you got this, and catch jam to yourself in the top lane while the rest of your team just carries across the rest of the map. You know.
Yeah, I think Ulster's team overall is just really looking like the more skilled team, because a lot of these players have played in other community tournaments, and even I've seen Dakin and Rwandis, I believe, anyway, before in these, and I think they're just showing that they've played at a higher level, and right now against a team that probably has no competitive experience, bar probably arguably one of the players, they're just looking really strong right now.
They're looking good. It's a 6k gold lead, and we were saying at the start of this game in Champ Select as well that I do think it is the Ulster University's team comp that's going to look a little bit, not necessarily better. You know, there are options available for UCD, but the Ulster comp is definitely easier to execute as the game goes on. You know, they have more options for damage carry. They've good options for CC and for making picks, or providing a lot of that just by himself by the virtue of the fact that he is born.
Oh, and Dakin does find Reforming Player off at the Blasting Code is going over as the Unstoppable Onslaught Stole is going to get the kill. Don't Be Silly again and Beta Citizen are going to try and get something back in response as the depth charge hits two people. Ignite coming out onto Disco Dakin. They're chasing forward for this. Kayn ulti goes down. Dakin's a bit low here. Is he going to heal out of it? No, he is not. He's going to go down, and they do land the hook on to Ginger Joe, and I think he's going to go down here as well if this keeps going the way it is. MF's not going to get there in time.
Ulster University, they've played directly into UCD's hands. We've seen, Don't Be Silly again, he only wants to be in one lane, and that's top lane. So the only mistake Ulster University could have made was also going top lane, because it allowed Don't Be Silly again to actually get involved in fights, and this Kayn is still pretty strong, okay? Disco Dakin, I mean, it was nice. He wanted to bail Ornn out of this hole a little bit, the 1-3 Ornn, getting bullied around the map a little bit by the Kayn Malphite, but I mean, there wasn't all that much up there to be fought over. There was a Rift Herald, but I think Disco Dakin could have just taken that Rift Herald without actually getting the kill top lane. That was a little bit of an overcommit, and a good roam from Beta Citizen and a good counter gank by Don't Be Silly again punishes that. Will mean UCD have a chance to pick up the second Rift Herald of the game and hopefully get a little bit more value out of this one than they did the first one.
Yeah, that was really unfortunate, because at the very start of that, I thought Dakin might have just gotten himself a nice free kill, but I think that counter gank timing was just so perfect from UCD that it just caught them both off guard. And I think that's what got them the kills anyway, because my god, they were doing a lot back, and Beta Citizen actually hit two really key hooks there as well to get that.
So if we're looking at how this game is going to play out from this point, if you want to win and you're on UCD right now, I think you just put all of your hopes in Don't Be Silly again. And you hope that this Kayn can get onto Rwandis, can get onto Alex P in the back lane, and just manages to blow up at least one of the carries, and hopefully two in a team fight. But it's going to be so difficult with the Morgana, with the Ornn there, to provide a little bit, to provide the Black Shield, first of all, to stop the knockup coming through from Rast, which is the Kayn form that he's chosen, and also just to potentially lock you down with a Dark Binding. So eyes on Don't Be Silly again in these team fights, because I think the game is going to be made or broken off whether or not he can get good flanks off and whether or not he can find priority targets.
I think he has a reasonable chance of doing it with the comp he's playing against, because Ulster's comp is really squishy minus the Ginger Joe Ornn.
We'll see. I mean, maybe this the early Mountain Drake that they gave over for the sake of ganking top lane is going to come back and bite them. If we see Cassiopeia or Misfortune live on 5-10% HP, you'll know why.
Yeah, and Hired is going to hit the binding onto the Reforming Player, and they're doing a big chunk of damage, and MF going forward here does have the bullet time available to her, and it is going to come out, and that's going to be the kill for Alex P with the Ignite Force as well. Really nicely done, flashed out of there, but the depth charge is going to connect on both members, and I think they're both going to go down here. Kill goes over to the Caitlyn, and the Morgana herself is trying to run, but no skill, pure luck, might get taken out in response. Rwandis is here anyway. Beta Citizen forced to run for his life. Call the Forge God, not going to hit anyone. And the flash forward into the Petrifying Gaze, hitting no one from Rwandis. And that looked really awkward, but it paid off in the end there. Put Bacon on Vegan, forced to run, is taking a lot of damage from the poison, and it's a triple kill from Rwandis at the end of that all.
Double TPs invested. Let's see how many more objective Ulster University can get out of this one. Top tower should be up for grabs. Silas, I think, is getting the middle herd as well. They will trade a bottom turret for it. But this top lane, I mean, it is very rare that you see top lane be the site of this much action in any game. It's all kind of stemmed out of Don't Be Silly again, paying so much attention up there. The counter gangs coming through, and this time around it is the double TP counter gang from Ulster University that brings enough members to swing that around. And Don't Be Silly again, he knows his job is to just find a target and assassinate them. Is he going to try and steal a Drake, or is he going to try and catch someone out?
I think Don't Be Silly again might just be caught in the wrong position, but I think he might just get out with his flash blown. They are going to commit to this. None of the members are around it, Tom, and Rwanda's picks himself up a kill. The rest of blue team are arriving to try and get something back in response. Without their jungler, they have no smite skill available to them, and the binding is going to connect. Really, really nicely done to keep them out of anywhere near this dragon.
Hard for Zoe to get those steals over a wall anyway. All you need is someone to stand in the way. They'll probably take half their health bar for it because it is a Zoe, but they will at least stop the steal going down. That is going to be Soul Point coming up in about 4 or 5 minutes for the side of Ulster University, as they're kind of stacking these drakes pretty quickly. And it was Don't Be Silly again, I think, feeling the pinch a little bit there, recognizing that he's the player on his team who has all the gold, who needs to make something happen. And instead of recalling out, he had plenty of time to get out of that situation, but was just sitting there looking for a hero play, hoping someone would walk into them in the jungle, and they didn't. And with the jungler down, it was an easy pickup, honestly, and can't happen again at the next Drake.
No, especially not with the Infernal Soul. What do you reckon about that going on to potentially on the side of Ulster Unicorns here?
Oh, disgusting. I mean, there's 4 people building at least a little bit of damage. And I mean, the Ornn as well. It's just, like, Ornn does not need all that much more damage to actually be a genuine kill threat onto the entire backline of the enemy team. So what it will mean is if the Infernal Soul goes over, I think the game is essentially ended, because UCD can just have any of their members killed by anyone on the enemy team at any time. And once you get into that situation where even the support is genuinely threatening your carries, it becomes very, very difficult to win.
Do you see blue team trying to get some vision over Nash? But I'd imagine here with red team, Ginger Joe doesn't have TP available to him, but Reforming Player does, so he can force Ginger Joe to stay bot lane while also TPing in if they want to try something at Nash. Although I'm not too sure if they can with the current goal they have.
It's a pretty big gold lead for Ulster University, and I think at this point it does just need to be, you know, I was saying Infernal Soul is obviously a bit massive win condition, and it will mean that the game is basically out of reach for UCD. But at this point, the game is almost out of reach for UCD, unless you manage to get the perfect combo off anyway. Unless you get Malphite ult onto all 4 members other than the Ornn. Preferably the Ornn is in there as well. Or you manage for Don't Be Silly again to get something. Yeah, like if he can find someone to catch them out, but it takes him so long to kill anyone that he's just going to be caught out instead.
Meanwhile, while this is going on bot side, top side, no skill pure luck, just gets caught out there by the misfortune as the Call of the Forge God again, I think, misses from Ginger Joe, but he is just going to pick up potentially the kill on 12 Ignite, but no, you do see the Malphite ult coming through, but Dakin goes forward, get that unstoppable onslaught to pick up the kill onto the ADC. Flash force from Reforming Player, Petrifying Gaze not available to Rwanda's, but he doesn't need it, he's just sustaining through all of this. Depth charts, it's 3 members of Ulster, maybe they take a bit much, 1,000 gold shutdown coming over here onto the Nautilus of all people, and it does look like in total it was a 1 for 4 in favour of Ulster.
It was 1 for 4. The only person surviving is the Malphite. This could be Baron for Ulster University if they want to turn for this one. It looks like they're happy just taking every turret across the map, taking a few camps away as well, just to make sure that they're getting all the gold into their pockets. And I mean, there's really not much to say about that, except that was just Ulster University smacking UCD over the head with their wallets, winning fights across the map just by dint of pure gold leads. And at this point in the game, I think it's essentially unlosable. And if you're UCD, you kind of need to start looking at going to next and fixing what happened in this game. And I mean, like, you can even see it here at the moment, just individual gold leads across the board. Rwanda's kind of, I want to say quietly, but it's not been all that quiet, having an absolutely huge game on this Cassiopeia and nearly 5,000 gold ahead of his lane partner.
Yeah, but it's interesting enough that Alex P, sitting on this More Fortune, has actually just been silently farming up like a monster here. He's probably he's only a 30 gold behind Rwanda's at this stage, which is pretty insane considering for a champion that can pretty much obliterate any squishy members.
I mean, you're kind of damned if you do, damned if you don't at UCD. Do you try and, you know, fight a skirmish out in open territory somewhere and just get picked off by Cassiopeia running down your entire team slowly and Ornn managed to get ult? Or do you try and fight in a corridor, get the Malphite onto ult onto a few people and funnel directly into a misfortune ult across your entire team? I mean, what are the good options if you're UCD? I think the only good option is land a Miracle Malphite ult onto 5 people and just blow all of them up immediately. But I just don't think they even have the goal to kill enough of them quickly enough to not get the fight turned around on them.
I mean, it costs them 4 members to just kill Rwandus, so it's a lot to get over to get their team.
That was only because Rwandus actually tanked the tower for the entire time he was chasing down the mid laner. So I mean, yeah, it's looking rough.
I believe they can do this. Next dragon is up in 30 seconds as well, so maybe they can try and stop Soul Point.
Is Zoran just going to attempt to solo Baron? Is that what I'm seeing right now? I mean, I'd believe it. Look, man.
Oh my god, Disco Dakin with the stolen Unstoppable Onslaught is going to one-shot No Skill Pure Luck as Pupagan and Vegan and the rest of ECD trying to run away, but we do see Reforming Player going back in there with another Unstoppable Onslaught of his own as the Call of the Forge God is going to knock up the jungler, and they are going to combo that with the Misfortune Bullet Time, and they are going to pick up the numbers of UCD. They're going to slaughter them here in this fight, and this looks to be the end of the game.
Ulster University, yeah, they'll find the full ace. That is going to be the end of the game. Not even waiting for drag. Catching out UCD as they started to try and move towards their base. Surely they won't dive us now. There's an Infernal Drake spawning. They could rotate and get that, but nah, they're just here for the dive. And just a clean game all around from Ulster University. They prioritised in the right places. Disco Dakin had a fantastic game in the jungle, snowballed the lanes where he needed to. And Rwandus and Alex P coming through with massive carry performances to give Ulster University an easy win in game number 1 of this series. Yeah, and we will have to see now if UCD can actually come back, do anything about this in game number 2. There are definitely things that they could shake up in draft, and we will talk about what those things are when we come back to you with the draft for game number 2. Don't go anywhere.
it's too long. I can't make it on my own steam, but it won't be long. Once in a while we're allowed to dream that we're gonna make it through the night. We're gonna journey to the light. We're gonna make it through the night. Whoa. We're gonna make it through the dark, and we're gonna find out who we are. We're gonna make it through the dark. No one can tell us who we are. We're that only love can ignite. And I'm fine with this. I wouldn't have it any other way. 'Cause we were made for this. You and me, we're gonna fly away. That we're gonna make it through the night. We're gonna journey to the light. We're gonna make it through the night. Whoa. We're gonna make it through the dark. We're gonna find out who we are. We're gonna make it through the dark. No one can tell us who we are. We're that only love can ignite. The sun will rise. The sun will rise. And the sun will rise. The sun will rise. We're gonna make it through the night. We're gonna journey to the light. We're gonna make it through the night. Whoa. We're gonna make it through the dark. We're gonna find out who we are. We're gonna make it through the dark. No one can tell us who we are. We're that only love can ignite. With light.
There's always been a fire inside of you. He knows when you're getting lost. He takes you back to reality. When there's nowhere to hide, he'll fight on your side. He takes you back to the edge. Safety and security. He's a fighter. When there's no coming back, he's a fighter. He's a fighter. He's a fighter. When there's no coming back, he's a fighter.
Welcome back to Game 2 of this Best of 2 series of League of Legends Winter by Ice, where after a very strong performance, Ulster Unicorns have taken Game 1 on the UCD Leviathans, which right now we're about to find out how UCD will have to adapt their draft versus this team. New Aleok, what do you think?
I think you gank a lane other than the Malphite lane. I think it's that simple. I think they had 2 damage threats drafted in other lanes, and unfortunately, I'm willing to give Don't Be Silly again the benefit of the doubt. He was playing Kayn. There was only one lane with a melee champion, and you always want that Rast upgrade if you're playing in any form of organized play. So I think he was just ganking the Ornn over and over again to farm that Rast stacks. But what it meant was that his other lanes were falling behind. He couldn't do anything to help them out. And it meant that even though this Malphite was doing okay into the Ornn, across the rest of the map, they really weren't getting anything done. So this time around, they're going to give over the Ornn again, it looks like. But hopefully something other than the Kayn comes out from Don't Be Silly again. And hopefully he gets things done in other lanes and can death some of these early dragons.
We do see the ban staying the same, but they have opted for UCD to swap out one of the bans. I'm not too sure which, but they have opted for the Morgana this time around. A lot of work put in anyway for the side of Ulster, but otherwise they seem to be all the same.
I think that's fair. I think the Morgana was actually putting a lot of work in the bot lane. The punish that was coming out of Hired onto the player who was playing bot lane, who names are escaping me very quickly. It's late at night, and this is the first stream we're doing with these players. But you know, the Morgana was punishing whenever he was overextended, whenever he was left alone by the Nautilus. They were managing to get kills down and also preventing a lot of the engage onto the 2 carries of Cassiopeia and Miss Fortune as well. So Morgana ban is understandable, and it will just open the way for them to lock in a Selen Leona, try and lock down the Ulster University bot lane and maybe do a little bit of punishing their own this game.
I do like this a lot, actually. I thought maybe originally they could have paired the Miss Fortune with something like the Leona, but when they gave away the Nautilus, I thought they were originally going to do that, but they opted for something different. But Senna having a lot of range, a lot of heal, she brings a lot to a team, and it's a good start anyway, as Ulster looking to hover the Miss Fortune this time around, and they will lock it in the second time for Alex P after a pretty good performance, I'd say, in Game 1.
Yeah, just quietly picked up a lot of gold, had some decent ultimates, didn't actually need to do anything too special to win the last game, but looked pretty solid on the Miss Fortune. I think this is fine. The Orianna was banned away last game, away from the mid laner of Rwandus. And we'll see this time around a little bit more just team fighting power than the Cassiopeia, a little bit less sustained damage, but it's really not that much less. And the utility it can bring could prove to be pretty devastating if this Orianna can get ahead.
Yeah, I'm really liking Ulster Unicorns' picks here. It does have a really strong team fight, and it also seems to scale really well into the late game. Although at the same time, looking at what UCD Leviathan's just locking in the Malphite, they are also building a team fight comp of their own with the Malphite for, I believe, was it... it was a Pagan and Vegan, or was it? No, sorry, it was no skill.
It was Reforming Player in the top lane on the Malphite last game.
It was.
Yeah, the Silas band away as well, and it's a relatively similar look coming out of UCD Leviathan so far. I think it's the jungle pick that's really going to be telling as to whether or not they're actually changing up their game plan. Obviously, it's a very different bot lane, Senna Leona. I say very different. I mean, it's still it's a long range AD carry paired up with an engaged support, but this time around they have the option to do something a bit different. Maybe try and focus on this bot lane. Maybe try and change out the mid lane from a poke mage to something a bit more team oriented or a bit more team fight oriented. And this is really where the draft is going to shift for UCD Leviathans.
Yeah, I'm already interested from that AD carry swap alone, whether they're going to chuck maybe an assassin for their mid laner or something different here. Because Senna does provide a bit of utility, but they do still need a lot more damage, as it does provide a lot less than Caitlyn that they'd had last game.
There's the assassin. I mean, it's Akali. I was going to say, I don't know if you necessarily want to pick an assassin into a comp that's already showing Ornn and Orianna. If they pick up an enchanter support here, it's going to be really hard to actually kill off any of the high priority targets as Akali in this game. But hey, UCD Leviathans looking willing to take the risk, and it was in the mid lane. They weren't looking too bad. No Skill Pure look had an okay game. I said they could go for an enchanter. They've just gone the opposite direction. Like, fine, you want an assassin? We'll take an assassin too. We'll assassinate your assassin before your assassin assassinates our backline. It'll be totally fine.
It's time for OBK's crazy conspiracy theories, where
Okay.
I think that the Akali could actually be swapped around, because I think Put Bacon on Vegan has played a fair bit of Akali, and I'm not sure about their mid lane, but that'd be a pretty handy flex. You could put Malphite jungle or anything, because he does play whatever.
That's possible. The Kane's going to be taken away. I think the Malphite was locked in because they just want to put Reforming Player on that again. I think the ban stayed the same for Ulster University. We heard last game from the players that it was actually because of bans that they swapped. They swapped their top laner down into that AD carry role. So I think it's going to be Reform Player top lane. I think we're not going to see UCD Leviathan swap around this game. And I think that the Akali, it looks like it's going to be fairly standard from them. The Kayn takeaway, we saw last game that it can force you into ganking lanes you probably shouldn't be ganking. This time around, there is picked into the melee champion in the mid lane, and that's the big difference here is you can gank that Akali, you can gank that Leona, and still get Rast stacks from every lane. And that's a huge difference in how Ulster Unicorns locked this in versus how the Leviathans locked it in.
Yeah, I'm pretty interested in what's going to happen here, because it's a lot squishier, I'd say, for both teams. I mean, Leona is quite a beefy support, and so, again, another paired with a nice Malphite, so it is going to be pretty similar to having the one tank for Ulster and the two for Leviathans, but I do think they're a bit squishy with the Kazakhs and the Akali locked in as well, so I don't know.
Priority targets here for the Kayn to lock down. We will have to see how these early games play out as we get ready to jump into this game. We're going to throw to a quick break, though, to allow you guys to stew in the hype for a little while longer. And we will see you back here for Game 2 of this best of 2 in just a little while.
Fear is the first of many foes. max. Awesome.
Talk to me honestly. I'm here. I'm here. I'm here. I've been so far away. I don't know when I changed. Your voice replaying in my mind. I'm not prepared this Talk to me honestly. I'm here. I'm here. I'm here.
and welcome back to Game 2 of this Best of 2 series, where Ulster are looking to get the 2-0 over UCD Leviathans, where UCD currently are looking like they need to make some serious changes in the way they're playing this game to go a bit further forward. Nualeok, what do you think?
I think that a level 1 invade out of Ulster University could have been really spicy, but they've been found out. But they did manage to clear the warden, so that's 1 CS and a bit of gold over into their pockets, and it's gone to the Oriana. Rwanda's already winning lane against the Malphite of all the champions. I didn't think this Malphite was going mid. You managed to call it before I did. Reforming player. He played Malphite last game, but it was top lane, and put Bacon on Vegan down onto their 3rd most played champion, taking it up into the top lane. And I'll be honest, I doubt Ulster University were expecting this all that much as well, especially once they saw the Malphite lock in Champ Select.
I'm a bit interested in how the matchup's going to go, because if you have the Oriana versus Malphite, I'm assuming Oriana just gets permanent push prio on.
Yeah, I mean, I assume Malphite has a horrible time for at least the first 20 minutes of this game. But on the top side, I mean, does it Kali dumpster Ornn? I assume not, because nothing dumpsters Ornn. But put Bacon on Vegan, he might dumpster Ornn, because this is, as we said, one of his most played champions, and definitely going to look more comfortable in this matchup than he was down in the bot lane in the last game. So this could be an interesting one. They've obviously decided that, if they're going to kind of have to give up a couple of lanes anyway, they might as well just put Bacon on Vegan on comfort and hope that's enough to carry them to this win.
I mean, that's kind of fair considering he's their strongest player, as we do see Kha'Zix passing towards his bot side jungle, where Dakin's made a pretty greedy play there to try and opt for the level 1 wolves.
Dakin was seen by Leona as well early on, but there's a fight in the bot lane. That fight's going to end with nothing. Dakin, they knew he was in there. He's managed to get away with the wolves as well. So greedy play, not going to be all that punished, but he didn't actually manage to get the buff, so interesting invade by Dakin is what we're going to call that one, I guess.
I mean, Dakin ended up getting wolves, and no scope here. Look, who is playing AD carry in this, was down to about a quarter HP there, so it ended up pretty well for Ulster overall.
Yeah, I mean, I guess it's a weird early game. Okay, don't be silly again. He's doing okay, and I mean, if we want to rotate back, I want to talk a little bit more about this game, because it's obviously changed sides in this game around. We're expecting it to be the Rast again this time out. And this is really a much better position. The fact that you always want to go Rast in these competitive games is why this was a better pick. In the last game, once the Kayn was picked, it was picked into a team that only had 1 lane he could gank. He had to gank the Ornn over and over again to farm up those Rast stacks. You can only get them when attacking melee champions. This time around, Kayn was picked for Disco Dakin once they'd already seen that there was a melee champion in all 3 lanes. The Akali in one of the solo lanes, the Malphite in the other one, and the Leona in bot lane. Disco Dakin has options in how he actually wants to play this game out, whereas in the last game, Don't Be Silly Again really didn't. And so if the Kayn does pop off this game, remember, it's not just player diff, it's also team comp diff.
I'm actually a bit surprised that Disco Dakin opted to go for the Kayn here, because I don't know if you know this, but Disco Dakin last season, I believe it was in preseason, got to, I think, was it like Grandmasters by playing Kayn with something like a 70% win rate?
Oh, Jesus. Okay. So, I mean, at least it's not just a, hey, I can play this champ better than you. It's, hey, I have some proof and some experience that I know I can play this champ better than you.
Yeah, so I'm interested to see whether both players put Bacon on Vegan and Disco Dakin on comfort here, which one will come out on top in this, but the matchups are already kind of a bit wonky, so I'm not too sure myself how they're going to go either way.
And these junglers are going to collide again. Kha'Zix is sitting in a bush at the moment, waiting for Disco Dakin. May have found him out, but instead will just back out. This is all casting from the minimap, as we do, OBK.
Yeah, Caster's minimap really coming in handy here, but Reformed player might have just walked a bit too far forward considering he's out of mana and an auto range.
Oh, this is scrappy. This is messy. There was push priority for Rwanda's. That's a teleport coming through.
And there's a TP for Bacon on Vegan overall. Fail flash from Dakin, but we do see Bacon on Vegan still has the flash available. And we do see Ginger Joe has his as well. He not go forward here. I don't think he's going to go further onto the Kha'Zix. But meanwhile, bottom lane, this is happening as well here. Hired is taken quite low, but so is Beta Citizen. I'm not sure which team's going to opt to get the first kill over here. And it looks like it might just be blue side. Beta Citizen is going to go down. First kill to Ulster, as we do see No Scoop here. Look, on his own, trying to get the return kill onto Alex P or something. And it might happen, but no! Double kill for Alex P overall. And they didn't get anything topside, but they got 2 kills botside with no assistance.
this Ulster University bot lane, they got a solo kill last game. We said, okay, fair enough. I mean, the Nautilus had walked away, abandoned Caitlyn all alone in a Morgana binding landing. But this time around, it is just a straight up 2v2 at level 3 where they come out on top. There was an unfortunate moment where Beta Citizen walked sideways out of the Senna queue. That queue, I mean, there's a little bit of a delay on it and you need to stand on it to get the heal. I don't think it would have changed a huge amount, but it might have delayed it long enough to get a little bit more damage down and potentially turned around the kill. At the end of the day, that didn't happen. It's 2 early kills onto Alex P on this Misfortune, already stacking up a cull as well. And I mean, this Misfortune is going to be absolutely terrifying come the mid-game.
She already has a BF sword on back, so this is
Jesus.
going to be pretty brutal.
Oh, no. Yeah, I mean, Senna has good sustain in the lane, but I don't know how much damage you can actually sustain through, and it's going to be a lot coming through. I mean, all it takes at this point, right, is Alex P landing wood good of those Q bounces through from Misfortune on a minion, and someone's going to be half health in that lane.
Yeah, I'm a bit interested in No Skill Pure Lux first item. I know going early tier was pretty handy there, but it's just unfortunate that giving the double kill over to Misfortune meant that having that pickaxe was probably better to just at least get some damage back in return. Now it's pretty much the equivalent of going forward with 1 Doran's Blade versus BF Cull pickaxe, BF sword.
Yeah, which, like you say, it's the getting the early tier feels good if you're even in the lane. As soon as you start to fall behind in the lane, that lack of combat stats can come back to bite you really quickly. And Beta Citizen is threatening a fight here, but Disco Dakin is in the area. Malphite is walking down from mid lane as well and is level 6. Keep eyes on that.
And I don't think they're going to get anything out of it in return, although Dragon is up here, so they might just opt to pick up the first Mountain Dragon of the game.
They could. I think they're just rushing back to mid lane to get that cleared out. They're going to try and fight for this Scuttle Crab. This could be a fight in the mid lane.
Yeah, Rowanus is quite low here. Does have half mana, doesn't have the shockwave available to him, and that's the flash force and response. Senekyu going to do no damage onto Alex P, and Beta Citizen is already halved.
Disco Dakin is down on this Drake now at this point. Never mind, there's a fight.
Oh my god, what a nice E undertow onto the Leona, and that's going to be another kill onto Alex P.
Beta Citizen is just playing with absolutely no respect in this lane. They're so far down in terms of just raw stats that you cannot afford to be walking this far up, even when you have the big wave stacked up there. And there's a potential freeze now to be set up for Alex P and really put this Senna in the ground in this game and make sure that as we head into a pause, Senna's items are going to be on pause for a lot longer than whenever we actually manage to get back in.
Which looks to be now, as both teams have agreed to say over.
Hey, that's nice. That's nice and quick. Do you know what? This is your fault. You jinxed this in Champ Select. You said, while we were in the pause, you know, it's great. We haven't had the classic Irish League of Legends pause. And what have we got now, OBK? Look at your monitor and tell me what we've got now.
We've got a short pause, I'll tell you that anyway.
Yeah, okay, I'll take it. I'll allow it. We'll jump back in. And a little bit of trading. Put Bacon on Vegan. He's doing a lot better in this lane matchup than he did as Caitlyn in the last game. Oh.
Yeah, he did miss the second part of the E there as we go into pause 2 of the game.
Malphite's client died. I mean, I'm pretty sure you can play Malphite without actually having the client, right? You just kind of press R and hope for the best anyway, no?
Yeah, I think personally he might have had the damage to take out Ginger Joe, but I don't really know Akali's lethal combos. I'd say put Bacon and Vegan would probably know more than me.
That's possible. We'll see anyway. It's I think this Ornn, you can see under a bit of pressure down at half health, but still actually managing to keep up well. And Don't Be Silly Again is on this top side. Junglers are on opposite sides of the map, and there is a chance that Don't Be Silly Again is just looking... They saw Disco Dakin heading towards the Drake, and maybe they were just looking to trade this Rift Scuttler, but with Disco Dakin not actually on that Drake yet, with the Malphite still in the area, this could just be a free objective for UCD, and that's not really something we saw for them last game.
Yeah, and it's interesting that their jungler is currently doing red side right now, but I think they're just going to give it up as Bacon on Vegan is currently taking a lot of damage. Ginger Joe forced to flash it, so we see Lee again comes around here and he picks up the kill, but it's going to be a response. What?
Hey, this is improvements. Last time they lost 2 people.
Trading 1 for 1, but I didn't expect that at all. I think that was way overextended from Bacon and Vegan.
I think so as well. I think he could have waited a little bit longer. He had time. Don't Be Silly Again was coming in, but they just wanted to try and dive it. I think maybe aware that the Ornn ult was available and that Ginger Joe could have turned that one around more effectively. But the major ramification of that dive is that it's just a free Mountain Drake on the bottom side.
Oh my god, the undertow flash lands onto No Skill Pure Look as the Pyke ulti going to come down to pick up the kill, doesn't get it the second time, and Alex P is going to pick up the kill into Leona, and that is going to be 2 more kills over to Ulster, who are already looking quite strong.
Do you remember when I said Beta Citizen was playing without much respect on the bottom side of the map earlier?
I did indeed.
Yeah, well, unfortunately, he's infected his lane partner with that as well. As you know, their jungler is topside, going for a dive that went okay, but you know that the enemy jungler is down on that side of the map as well. You know that the mid laner could be rotating down as well, and yet, for whatever reason, you're just wandering casually through the river at the same time as they're doing Drake. And they gave up the Drake, they gave up 2 more kills. This Misfortune is absolutely huge, and I mean, I guess maybe if this Kali gets far enough ahead and it manages to assassinate the Misfortune, there aren't great peel tools, but it's not looking like the Akali is far enough ahead for that to happen.
But in saying that the Call of the Forge God connects, the damage comes down, and Ginger Joe's overextended, but I don't think Don't Be Silly Again will get there in time, and Put Bacon and Vegan barely escapes his life as the TP comes in from Rwandus. Bit over-eager there, and I didn't get anything out of it.
Yeah, Kha'Zix is the players. Oh,
Meanwhile, another thing happening here is Disco Dakin does pass towards bot side, as we do see another fight happening. Exhaust is going to come out onto Dakin. Both members of UCD trying to run away with their lives there, which they will get away as Hired's hook does connect onto Leona. Flash Force, the bullet time not going to be enough to pick up anything. And another scrappy fight comes out, forcing Summoners.
And they could potentially look for a dive here. There's no Summoners left for the bot side of UCD.
And they're going forward here. The Dawning Shadow is going to come out, and it does connect directly onto Disco Dakin, but that's not enough. But we do see Beta Citizen taking the E into Q to do a bit more damage back. Beta Citizen goes down, but a lovely W from Senna stuns 2 people. And we do see that Malphite is around here, does have the Unstoppable Force available to him. But so does the hook from Hired. Nothing's going to happen. And a Flash Force from Alex P through all this, as the ulti is going to connect onto Dakin, and they do actually pick up the kill back.
Okay, that's reasonable. That's 1 for 1 in the extended trade, and honestly, I think a little bit less time and effort invested by UCD in making that one happen. Akali getting to farm up on the top side a little bit more, and the Kha'Zix getting to take the risk cutler. So for UCD, I think you call worth on that one. And given that you're now 4K gold down, you have to take those small victories.
Hired with the disrespect hook onto Reforming Player.
Just wondering, throw a hook out, why not? Pyke ult is back off cooldown now, so with the mobility boots and a Dirk completed, that Pyke has roam potential, can look around the map, could potentially even go looking for Don't Be Silly again in his jungle if he's not careful and if they're not tracking that Pyke enough. You can see Pyke is actually just going for a wander in the blue side jungle, laying down deep vision, so if you are this Kha'Zix, be a little bit careful at the moment of where that Pyke is, as this is just a straight 1v2.
The fight is going to come over here, and the E connects onto both of them, and the depth from below is going to pick up the kill onto Beta Citizen. Oh my god, that was a lovely E from Hired.
Yeah, Hired just looking fantastic on this Pyke. We questioned it a little bit off screen. We didn't want to do it in Champ Select, and I'm glad we didn't, because it's coming up huge, and now we don't look silly, looking like, we said that this Pyke was maybe a questionable pick, although I've just called it out, so I think I've just undone all that good work anyway, but you know what, it's fine.
If it all works out in the end, it doesn't matter though, does it?
Yeah, it's fine. We didn't actually say it the first time around, but yeah. Point being, Hired looks really good on this Pyke. This bot lane is super aggressive, the Misfortune Pyke lane. They've got huge amounts of damage right now, and they are poised to just completely take over this game at any kind of fight. I mean, how do you actually try and run into a mid-game fight against the Misfortune Pyke this strong?
And I think the Shockwave just barely connected there onto Reforming Player, who is super low right now. Hired went forward here again to try and get something back in response, but he actually didn't get the kill.
Put Bacon on Vegan is on the backside of this fight now. Could try and look to clean up.
Yeah, he's going a bit too far forward here. The jungler's not available right now, and I think he might just be caught out of position, but the rest of the team has arrived here, and they might look to take something here. Dakin is slowed, and the rest of Blue Team are also running, because the Call of the Forge God from Ginger Joe is going to come down as it doesn't connect. And you do see the hook, though, is going to hit, forcing the Unstoppable Force out of the Malphite, and Reforming Player does just dodge the death timer. Meanwhile, we do see the stun, the E going to connect onto Dakin, who's forced to use the ulti down onto the Senna, and we do see Hired trying to run away here. The rest of the team trying to get out, but there is a TP coming in from the Malphite. Flash Force from Beta Citizen, and Disco Dakin does go down. Bullet time doing nothing really, as Put Bacon and Vegan trying to clean this up in the backline. He does get Rwandus. Hired's on his own. Flash from Bacon and Vegan. The Q from Senna going to pick himself the kill, and Ginger Joe and Alex P trying to run away from themselves here. Really nice Q and E from Ginger Joe, but he is going to go down the end there.
Big shutdowns and kills going on to every member of UCD who needed them. A 500 gold shutdown for Akali, who I was questioning, whether or not there was going to be enough damage, whether or not there was just enough gold for this Akali to find and assassinate the Misfortune in this game. There definitely is now a kill going back to the Senna as well, who was really struggling, and the Kazakhs even managing to pick up a couple of kills there as well means that all of a sudden the damage threats, who were not looking all that threatening for UCD, will suddenly be able to find these squishies on Ulster University that much better, and actually assassinate them. As that Rift Herald is not doing much.
No, it's a bit questionable, as we do see that the most gold currently sitting on Alex P.
Yeah, I mean, not too much about that. That's all that surprising. The 4-0 for Misfortune turns out still really strong. But I think the interesting one to look at is this Akali. I mean, the 500 gold shutdown suddenly catapulting Put Bacon on Vegan up above the Ornn on that one, and actually keeping really all of UCD in the game. You can see the gold numbers are not as dire as I think they would have been if we checked them just before that last big fight.
Although saying that, Beta Citizen is currently sitting on 2.6k, currently nearly 2,000 gold down on the rest of his team.
Yeah, I mean, it's rough. This Leona's been having a poor time of it, and it will probably continue to get worse. But also, you're Leona. A lot of what you do is just provide utility, and you can throw it on R no matter how much gold you have in your pocket. You don't need any items to stun people for 6 seconds as Leona.
Yeah, no matter what you do on that, you will probably do a bit with Senna damage. Although Senna is still a wee bit behind Misfortune here, as she does have the Essence Reaver completed, nearly has the Cull stacked as well. So she's going to be an absolute monster as these early fights turn into early team fights.
Definitely will. And we can see, I mean, overall the gold lead is still about 3k. So, you know, that fight didn't... It altered the flow of the game in the sense that UCD now have a chance to come back into it, but it is still very much a commanding lead for Ulster University and a chance to close this one out if they stop playing so fast and loose around objectives.
We do see Hired is kind of caught between 3 members here.
2v5.
Yeah, I'm not too sure about this one. If they did end up forcing, I'm pretty sure they probably would die.
Yeah, Disco Dakin is up in top lane looking for an Akali who has roamed down to mid lane to try and collapse on this Orianna. Reforming player was getting pushed in a lot by Roandus, and so they rotated a few members down to try and relieve some of the pressure. Disco Dakin's going to find the Akali.
Yeah, he does have the double W landing onto Put Bacon and Vegan, but the rest of Red Team are all hanging down bot side as the EQ going to connect onto Hired here. Does have the Death below available, but is not going to commit as none of the team are around.
Oh, this is the real test. 1v2 is Akali. Can he do it?
Put Bacon and Vegan hiding around here. Dawning Shadow going to come down a bit too late, and Disco Dakin kicks up the kill onto Put Bacon and Vegan.
The answer is no. The Akali cannot 1v2 against the 2 tanky boys of Rast and Ornn. That Rast... Honestly, I don't know enough about Kayn to know if that's an early Rast or not, but that is a Rast.
It is indeed. It's a 2-man Malphite ulti. He's going to connect into a really clean shockwave from Roandus to lock them 2 back. Don't Be Silly again is currently on like a quarter HP here. And that's going to be a double kill though in response. Alex P is on his own bot lane, and even Leona is looking towards this mid lane.
Don't Be Silly again has picked up a lot of kills. Now 4-0-2, tied for most kills in the game with the Misfortune, who really popped off early. And I said, heading into this game, that really what I wanted to see was a change from Don't Be Silly again. I wanted to see him unlocked around the map. Now that he wasn't forced into ganking that melee champion as Kayn, would he have an impact everywhere else? And right now the answer is looking like yes. Don't Be Silly again is pulling some things off, as Ginger Joe will get ganked by Put Bacon on Vegan and by Beta Citizen. It's a party in the mid lane.
EQ's gonna connect here as the first E does hit. He comes back in and he's gonna get the kill onto Ginger Joe, and that's another kill for UCD.
Even managed to give the assist across to Don't Be Silly again, who's managing to accelerate ahead. And these dual assassins of the Akali Kazakhs, I mean, I guess maybe the Malphite can kind of be an assassin too. We're all starting to snowball a little bit, and golden pockets means that if you're this misfortunate, I'd be worried no matter how much gold you have.
What an E onto Disco Dakin as the shotwave is going to hit Beta Citizen and Put Bacon and Vegan. Dakin trying to do a bit of damage back, and both teams look quite strong, but they do end up picking up the kill onto Dakin in response for Beta Citizen, which is, I'd say, a worse trade.
Yeah, almost definitely. And it's just getting really sloppy at the moment. And if there's a team that is favored by sloppy play at the moment, I would probably say it is UCD. They have the double assassins. There's a Pyke over on the other side to try and punish as well, but with an Akali and a Kazakhs, you're happy to be fighting in these little jungle skirmishes where you can dance in and out of vision, where squishies are sitting off to the side by themselves, a little bit unprotected. And we can see that just based off the fact that they have been the team to pick up more kills. They've picked up more gold. They're still about 3k gold down. The gold gap hasn't really closed, even based off the fact of those kills, which is maybe a testament to how well this Misfortune is just farming down in the side lane while all this has gone on. But it's allowed them to pick up objectives as well. And this next Rift Herald, Hopefully better than the 2 we've seen from them already in this series, but UCD, they have a third one to have a go with.
Yeah, and all teams are kind of hovering here around this dragon side as Ocean Soul going to be the soul for this game. Any particular team this favors?
The team with Ornn, always. Ornn with an Ocean Soul is just filthy. But I mean, on the other side, there is a Leona and a Malphite who also make pretty good use out of that. Ocean Soul is just nuts in general, and you can make even not very tanky players tanky. That's optimistic by Beta Citizen.
And Hired is kind of caught in his own here between most of UCD's team, but they are going to collapse on a Beta Citizen, put Bacon on Vegan here. And Solar Flare is going to hit Dakin, who is going to go down. It's called Force God, finally going to hit 2 people there. And put Bacon on Vegan is quite low as he's 1v1 versus Hired. Desmond Below going to pick up the double kill for Hired here. And Ginger Joe pushing forward onto Reformed Player. And the Q does connect into a triple kill for Hired. That's going to be the Dragon.
That's just... Oh my god, did you see the gold numbers on Ornn just there? That's disgusting. Oh, I forgot how much free gold Pyke manages to give to the rest of his team, and Ornn gives so much free gold and items as well, and there's just free gold everywhere, and they're just accelerating. Ulster University, it was a 3k gold lead, it looked like it was being clawed back right before that fight, and now look at it. It's like 8k, it ballooned by 5k in that fight, what the hell?
Yeah, I personally think this might be a bit of an unlucky from UCD. I think it started off alright with Hired, kind of caught around 4 members for UCD, but I think it got a bit sloppy, and once they caught out 2 members on the side of the team fight, I don't think there was much they could do because they just weren't as strong, and they either need to fully commit to kill Hired there, or they just fully committed to the other members, because I think leaving it between either of them just meant that they got kind of destroyed in both angles.
It looked really good for them at the start as well, because Put Bacon on Vegan was hiding out in the bush. Leona, Beta Citizen, baited a lot of players from Ulster University into that bush, and it looked like maybe Put Bacon on Vegan was going to be able to clean a lot of people up, but after that first kill went down, there was just not much to be done, and Hired slippery enough on that Pyke to clean a huge amount of people up. And honestly, I just genuinely cannot get over how much gold. Yeah, Pyke just gave 1,800 gold to his team in that fight. I mean, that's disgusting. Like, I'm lost for words at how ridiculous the ballooning of this gold lead was this time around. You can see it in the gold numbers here. Pyke is currently 7,500 gold. He's, I think, the highest gold. No, he's not the highest gold in the game.
He's higher
There's
than
2 people higher.
Rwandus.
He's higher than Rwandus. He's higher than anyone on the Ulster University team right now. I mean, that's disgusting. He might die though.
Meanwhile, he is probably going to die here. Solar Flare not going to hit, but they do pick up the kill in response, and they do have the Rift Herald going Midland to probably get the tier 1.
Alright, this means Pyke is balanced. If another assassin can find him out and kill him, that means it's totally fine. Yeah, this game is just turning into the battle of the assassins a little bit. It's whoever can find someone caught out alone in the enemy jungle and clean them up, but that makes it very hard to call, and with the gold being so much in favor of Ulster Unicorns at the moment, I think it's fair to say that it's going to be a little bit easier for them to survive long enough for their assassin to arrive and clean up.
Yeah, and I think especially Pyke, now that he's completed 2 full lethality items, will just so easily pick off the squishies on the side of UCD. Like, don't be silly again, as a Dustblade and a Warrior. So he's not very tanky, and neither is No Skill Pure Luck. As the Call of the Forge God, going to not connect, forcing the Unstoppable Force out of Reforming Player. So they are going to get an ulti, but they're not going to get any summoners.
Ult for an ult, and I think those are not... The cooldowns look fairly similar at this point of the game, so basically that's a fairly even trade. Baron is live at the moment. Dragon will be up in 2.5 minutes, so not a huge amount to play for. Both teams probably just going to look to farm it out for the next little while. Although, saying that, there are basically 2 assassins on each side, so that may definitely not be true as players look to jostle for advantage, find a patch of darkness and catch someone out on the other team.
Yeah, and they do have a bit more of an issue as this game goes on with the Dragons, as we do see the Shockwave connecting to Dopey Ceiling, but Dopey Ceiling doing absurd amounts of damage. Dawning Shadow going to come in there, flash from Bacon on Vegan. Rwandus ends up going golden in the backline there, but Hired picks up the kill into Dopey Ceiling again while this is happening. And it looks like it's going to be 2 kills for the side of Ulster through all that.
Tower putting in a lot of work, and a great stopwatch from Rwandus under Tower meant that he survived just long enough for Teleport to come through. And so yeah, I guess when it comes down to the question of which team has better assassins, it took 2 assassins to kill 1 Orianna, but only 1 Pyke to kill 1 Kha'Zix. And right now it's coming out in favour of the Pyke.
That's true. As Baron is up here, and I think UCD are just trying to keep vision on it for now, because At any moment, I reckon, if Ulster just forced the Baron, I don't think there's too much UCD could do to stop it.
It is a little bit dangerous with Malphite there if you gather in the pit at any point. I know Reforming Players had a relatively quiet game so far. It really has been the battle of the side lanes. But Reforming Player on this Malphite could come out of nowhere and knock 5 people up and allow Akali and Senna and Leona to follow up pretty effectively. So
Yeah.
Baron risky for both teams on this side. The Orianna does a similar function of on the other side of keeping UCD honest at any kind of risky Baron attempts. So it is just going to be a lot of clearing wards around this Baron pit, trying to keep dark spots available for your assassins to jump out of and kill off priority target on the enemy team.
Yeah, as Dakin is hovering bot side here. Next Dragon gonna be up in 30 seconds to put blue team on soul point.
Which is kind of out of nowhere a little bit. It is a lot slower than last game, but I mean, last game, you know, Ulster University were on soul point, I think 20 minutes into the game, so a lot slower this time around. But that's.
Oh my god, that was such a dirty combo from Kane and Pike with the hook.
They're not done.
Decimal Low, as they go with the E, does connect on the Bacon and Vegan, who is currently shrouded, but the Decimal Low is still available. Going to miss, but they did pick up the kill anyway for Dakin, so that is going to be 2 dead. And the flash force from Beta Citizen here, as he is going to go down, and they're probably just going to change this into an objective here.
UCD not respecting the speed that jostling for vision can turn into just all of a sudden getting engaged on and kills going down. Disco, Dakin and Hired, you call it out in that. Just the combo of a little bit of CC paired with a lot of damage is absolutely lethal if you are not very careful face checking it. And Don't Be Silly Again was not careful enough, walked face first into all of it. It's going to give position on the Dragon. This should be Soul Point becoming available for Ulster University as we head towards what's starting to feel again a little bit like game one, an unassailable lead for Ulster University. Sorry, there's a lot of U's getting thrown around in the names right now, and it's really throwing me off.
Yeah, they are UU, and it is
It's a lot of
the
U.
other team.
And the other thing is I don't know how many Terry Pratchett fans we have in chat at the moment, but there's Unseen University in the Discworld novels, and that's UU as well, and that's all that's going through my head every time I hear UU.
Yeah, a bit too many U's. But Rwanda, speaking of U, Rwanda is also picking up a pretty clutch ultimate into Flash there to stay alive.
Yeah, I'm not sure how he managed to survive. I thought this Kha'Zix was fed enough to just one-shot the Orianna, especially coming from Vision with the Dustblade proc with a Sentinel paired on top, but I mean, that's a little bit scary if you are UCD right now, because the fact that your Fed Assassin can't assassinate one of the priority targets on the other side, even coming out of Vision with all of the advantages. I mean, obviously there was a flash available for Rwanda's, and there won't be next time, but even still, that probably should have been a kill, and the fact that it wasn't means that these fights are going to be a little bit harder.
That was pretty ballsy from Rwanda. He did have Zonya's Hourglass available as well, and if he pushed that instead thinking he might actually go down there, he was screwed.
Yeah, he would have died almost instantly. As Hired, oh no,
Hired is getting burned a bit, but he gets out.
They can't keep getting away with it. Ulster University. I mean, how are they just surviving this Kha'Zix on no health every single time? I mean, okay, both times Don't Be Silly Again has blown a flash. So these targets will be a little bit harder. It means it'll be a little bit harder for Pike to get backline access on the next fight as well. That's probably the big upshot of that. But also Don't Be Silly Again blew his flash. Makes it a little bit harder for him to get backline access. So on both of these sides, I mean, this game has been so scrappy that, like, I have no idea which of these advantages are actually going to matter in the next 2 or 3 minutes.
Well, not the next 2-3 minutes, but currently right now we are in Orin item time, as we do see the Molten Edge coming through here for the Misfortune immediately, which is going to be a lot of damage onto our bullet times.
And Alex P is fight
Coming through here. Hire goes forward, but Bacon and Vegan and Don't Be Silly Again had enough damage to just blow him up instantly.
Pike dives face first into 2 other assassins, and it's very much a case of, we're not locked in here with you, you're locked in here with us on that one, as he just got blown up. I mean, you know, Pike has no defenses. He's just going to die. As you say, it is Orin item time, as the gold lead that is already 9k is now secretly about 12, 15k. It's going to keep ballooning up as these Orin items come through. The Molten Edge for Alex P already there. This Misfortune has been forced to stay very quiet in this game after an absolutely insane laning phase where they were really opening up big leads. The Misfortune hasn't been able to get much done because Alex P can't really approach fights. There's a really fed Kha'Zix in the Kali, and if Alex P walks up, he probably just dies.
Yeah, but we do see Dakin kind of on his own here. The team not around, but UCD don't actually commit to it, but they're going forward here as the Ilona E is going to connect the bullet time. It's 3 people! And Alex P, what a bullet time! And they do get 2 over from the Pike ultimate, and it looks like it might be another one. Reforming player is knocking up 3 people, but I don't think he's going to be alive.
Yeah, that's my bad, UCD. I was saying Alex P was having a quiet game, and obviously he took it to heart and was not happy because that was an insane bullet time in the corridor, junking 3 people out. They thought they'd found the pick onto Disco Dakin. Dakin lived. Didn't even go down that fight. That is 4 kills for absolutely none. This is looking like it should be... Could have been a Baron. They're going to go for an inhib ahead. I actually like this. I think people prioritize Baron a lot of the time when they shouldn't. You use Baron to get inhibs. If you have a chance to just take a free inhib, take the free inhib. And that is what Ulster will do this time around.
Yeah, they are going to take the inhibit, and I think this is just looking a bit out of reach for UCD here. Like, they had a pretty good idea of where to fight there, but I just think in execution it just came up a bit short.
Put bacon on Vegan's gone!
He's going for a phone. He does get Alex P off that. He's still alive as well. They might have just overstepped a wee bit there. Ginger Joe looking like he might go down here as well. The rest of Ulster aren't around to do anything. Oriana does have Shockwave though.
Yeah, straight over to Baron on this one. I said, look, you use Baron to get inhibs, so if there's an inhib available, you take that. There is no inhib available right now. You go straight for this Baron. They're spending so much time clearing out wards, though. They're so scared of these assassins coming from other angles. They want to make sure they have all the vision. And the problem is, the longer they delay this, the closer we get to Ocean Soul spawning. They're not even going to go for it. They're just too scared of the potential skill from Dakin. They're too scared of the Rwanda's just massive shockwave coming through. We're going to see this next big fight at Ocean Soul instead. They need to get this one for themselves, do UCD, and if they don't, this game is 100% for UCD. They've got this steal.
He hits, the solar flare hits, and they are just going to pick up the kill onto Disco Dakin while he does hide in the ulti. I don't think he lives much longer. And the E doesn't connect. Dakin goes down. Rwanda's walking away there. Shockwave blown. Doesn't have flash up just yet. And UCD pull out a kill onto the jungler, and I do believe that might just be their Baron off this.
Huge pick. Dakin not respecting that all of UCD could be in that jungle right there. This should be the Baron. They're waiting. They're waiting. They should still get this. Surely there's no steal. Surely a Shockwave can't steal this.
They don't have Shockwave up. Bullet time comes out though, which does a bit too much to don't be silly again for his liking.
Oh, look. It's a little bit close. But it's fine. That's so delayed a little while longer. There's life in this game yet. Okay, there's a massive gold lead. It's disgusting. I mean, it's 10k on paper, and then with Orin items as well, it's probably closer to actually 15k in just stats and items and the rest of that. Minions in the base, but the gold lead isn't telling the full story of this game because of the way it's been playing out, because of the fact that there's 2 assassins on UCD. If one of those assassins can find a priority target at the right time, like we just saw, if Dakin goes down, if this Misfortune or Oriana goes down right before a big fight to a good flank, then the gold lead doesn't matter. It doesn't matter at all. And UCD can definitely still win fights in this game, can definitely still contest this one, and could look to push this to a win, but it's still definitely an uphill battle.
They nearly had an opportunity there. Alex P caught very far out there on the Leona. I think she's a bit worried that there's someone around, but if you just press the solar flare down there, Alex P would have just instantly have gone down. None of his team were around.
I don't think much of Leona's team were around as well, but didn't do it. Nobody dead for the moment, and now it really is all going to come down to, I feel like, the next pick in terms of how this game is going to swing. Obviously, if Ulster University get a pick, then they're going to be able to just end the game through mid lane. But if UCD get a pick, they can keep this one going for a long time. Oh no!
Yeah, the ulti isn't going to hit anyone, and Dakin is doing his bit. Meanwhile, Hired, he does go far forward, he does pick up Hired, put Bacon and Vegan flashing out of there, is going to Lewith. Rwanda's is also bot lane splitting while this is going on, and Reforming player I don't think can match him for now. They are forcing members down.
That's a bit of a stalemate. Fed Assassin for Fed Assassin, as this should just be wave clear for a while now. UCD can't get caught out though. They just can't lose any more members right now or the game will end.
Yeah, UCD really forced onto the back foot here, and Senna doesn't have her ulti available. There isn't a flash on the Malphite neither, but they are pushing, trying to get this out anyway, while Dakin is just trying to take out the jungler while this is going on. Does pop the ulti. The Senna trying to get something down. Power of the Force God is available. It does hit 3 people, and a lovely shockwave into bullet time from Rwanda's and Alex P means this game might just be over.
I think that is going to be game. It looked like Dakin had overstepped. I don't know how Dakin keeps living. It's like, oh, he's overextended. Surely. Oh, no, never mind. His team has just managed to save him one more time. We'd spent so much time talking about the assassins because I thought that was what was going to end this game, was someone getting caught out by an assassin. But instead, it is the classic, the season 1 teamfight combo of Orianna and Miss Fortune coming through. Big shockwave into big bullet time, killing off key members. Put Bacon on Vegan has to pull a miracle out of nowhere here. I don't think he's going to do it. This should be a 2-game series for Ulster University.
Yeah, and what a series it was. They looked very strong from both of these games, in my opinion. What do you think, dude?
I think they looked great. I think they opened up big gold leads. I think Pike gold is just disgusting. And Riot, I don't know, look into that. That went from a 3k gold lead to an 8k gold lead off the back of one fight in the mid game there. And UCD, they put up a good fight. I think they can look to contest some of the other teams in this group. And I'm much happier with this look of put Bacon on Vegan on a bit of comfort. And don't be silly again, looking to actually gank other lanes than the top lane.
Yeah, that was overall a very strong performance from Ulster University. I think their comp was a bit I think it was alright anyway compared to game 1 and 2, but overall I think they just played their comp, which was a lot simpler to execute, and just executed on it a lot better with those Orianna ults into Miss Fortune ults, or key Miss Fortune ultis as well, were just really good in the spots where UCD looked like they could have picked something back and clawed their way back into the series.
Yeah, Alex P had a great series. I think that's fair to say. Misfortune both games, and a great misfortune both times around. Overall, fantastic from Ulster University. They're looking strong as we head towards the rest of the tournament, and we hope that all of you will remember to join us here next Thursday night. We have no idea who we're going to be casting yet, but I can guarantee you that the games will be spicy, at least as spicy as these ones. And we hope to see you all there. I've been New Lake. I've been joined by OBK. This has been ICE Winter 2020, and we'll see you all next Thursday for some more League of Legends action.